This is a sneak preview of what version 2 of Casa Luna will look like. I think I'm going to wait one more episode to give you the full rundown, because today we have bigger fish to fry.
Into the belly of the beast we go. I'm here to have some questions answered about some of the county requirements for building at Casa Luna. There's still a bunch of unanswered questions like, am I allowed to parcel this land and sell off pieces of it? And does the well have to go in physically before we can submit for building permit? Does the septic system have to be built initially, sized for the finished and final complex? All questions we don't know the answers to.
So, I checked in. The dude at the desk looked up the property, sent me a quick appointment with an assistant planner, for which the wait list was obviously huge, and called me in. This is Buyan, and she's an assistant planner with the Santa Clara County Planning Department, and we sat down and took a crack at all my questions.
The land use permit is the BSA. That's the building site approval. Is that right? Okay. And that's the hard one. And then the process for that is submit for that. When I submit it, it will generate an AR number, wait some period of time. Then it will be reviewed and get assigned to a planner. And at that point, it turns into a PLN number. And that's when a clock of 30 days starts. So the planner that's doing the review has 30 days to get back to me.
So once they reviewed it, you schedule an appointment with the planner in charge. It's like a resubmittal virtual meeting.
Okay, so it's basically like you do the review, everybody puts comments in, the architect goes back and reflects all of those comments back in the design. Then I set up another one. The virtual planning meeting, Geotech, Department of Environmental Health, a planner from you guys, land use development engineering. What is that?
They would usually review the structural plans.
I got you.
Plans. And then fire.
And then also my architect and me.
Yes.
Builder?
If it's helpful for them to be in that, virtual appointment, sure, everyone will be there, and they would explain the incomplete comments, and then, and how you would respond to that. So you would it's basically like a meeting with each of the experts, and they would answer your questions.
But you're saying that because I am prelim, I can kind of like schedule a meeting right now. It's general questions, get a bunch of stuff answered.
This is that meeting, and you'll see I actually scheduled it a couple of minutes later in this session, but we'll get into all that later.
Okay, that makes sense. Water well timing. Sounds
well, there's bad news and there's some bad news here. Basically, until I prove the presence of water on site, I cannot even submit for the BSA. And as if that bottleneck weren't enough, Buyan informed me
I can't have Septic Steve develop the rest of the septic plan until I've proven the presence of water on site.
And that is definitely not what I was hoping for.
Do we need a geo? That question will get answered on the virtual planning meeting that I'm going to set up. And then I am not allowed to parcel this particular piece of land because of where it's zoned, and that's because there's a 20-acre minimum for each parcel. Okay, I appreciate your help.
Yep.
You're very patient with a very dumb man.
It's okay.
I now have to go over there and set up the virtual general information appointment to try and get a whole bunch of the county folks on the line all at once with Architod and me and maybe our construction team too. We'll see. Today's journey to planning division has been successful and deeply informative. I'm a little worried about the BSA. I'm told that's a little harder to get than the building permit, so we'll see how that goes.
It was just then when I was heading out of the county building that I noticed.
Oh my God, you guys, this is so cool. Look at this. This is an old map of Santa Clara County, compiled from U.S. Surveys and County Records, it says. Board of Supervisors, 1890. And anybody that knows kind of the South Bay area may remember or know all of this used to be ranchos, farmland. And in 1890, you can see that they used people's names and specialized area names on these maps. And so this is owned by J. Heinlein. This is owned by F. Fisher, Rancho Laguna Seca. It's pretty interesting because this is actually all before the big 101 freeway went in here. Anybody that knows the Bay Area kind of knows that freeway. And that's how you get from my house up that way down to Casa Luna this way. And interestingly, right in here is Cochrane Road. Cochrane Road goes all the way up into the East Hills. This wouldn't be significant except that in 1890, Cochrane Road existed, and now there's another one called East Dunn. It's the next exit off of the 101 freeway that you would exit here and go up into the hills. And this, I believe, is actually the creek and the whole swale, the big area where Anderson Reservoir now lives. And I found Casa Luna on this map. It actually exists in 1890 on a ridge called Pine Ridge. It's now called Finley Ridge. Casa Luna is almost exactly right there. And I think that's so cool. You can kind of back out and see where it appears in the larger South Bay in 1890. I love stuff like this. It's so awesome.
Oh, wow. Look at this, guys. We've got wild boar coming through here. That's crazy. A whole pack of them right across the road. These guys are dangerous and delicious. I gotta tell you a story about these guys, actually. But before I do that, you guys need some background.
Wild pigs running amok. Some homeowners in Morgan Hill are getting desperate.
The wild pigs are tearing up the hillside neighborhoods of Morgan Hill. As you can see, they go where they want to.
The pigs are desperate for water, so they come into where people water their grass.
Basically, all the wild boar around here are a non-native, invasive, and very destructive species, and people do actively hunt them for meat. So, we were camping on top of the property one day. A guy in an ATV comes rumbling down the road onto my property all the way out to us on the ridge. And he pulls up and says, "Hey, I'm your neighbor." We exchanged niceties, and then I said, "I noticed you're rolling with a rifle in the passenger seat. What's that for?" He said, "Listen, most of the wild boar up here come up through the ravine in your forest because it's the easiest way for them to get up here. One of them caught me by surprise and got aggressive with me, and it put a big gash in my leg that sent me to the hospital, so I won't be caught without a defense again. Every once in a while, I shoot one, clean it, and take it down to Los Gatos Meats to be processed into sausage, salami, bacon, chops, pork belly, all the things, and it's amazing." Of course, me being a foodie, I was listening intently. This whole conversation painted visions of wild boar bolognese and bacon and all kinds of grilled chops and deliciousness happening once I move in here. Unfortunately, I'm not really a hunter, so I don't really know what I'm doing. But I asked this guy, "Hey, once I move in here, would you be willing to show me how to take one of these guys, clean it, and get it ready for processing?" And he said, "Sure." So what all of this means really is that once this property is in full operation, we'll have Amaro, we'll have wine, balsamic vinegar, olive oil, olives, we're gonna have citrus, and if you come visit the property, you might even get a taste of local wild boar charcuterie. And all of that would be produced locally, organically, and naturally as a product of this land right here. How awesome is that? I know you guys are probably dying for more detail on the new design of V2, and trust me, it is spectacular. I'm so excited for the way this thing is turning out. But for the moment, I'm going to let it develop for one more episode, and then we will give you guys the show, I promise. But for now, I will give you one detail that is being pulled straight from the hidey hole of V1 and put right into V2. Because put simply, I couldn't live without it.
I think the cows just left here like a minute ago because that's practically steaming. It's very, very fresh around here. Gotta watch your step today. I think it's been a while since all of us together, have been to other parts of the property other than the top. And I want to take you guys with me down this hill, and I want to show you a couple of things. What I'm feeling this morning really strongly is just a connection to this land, and I think that is in part because of my upbringing in Provo, Utah. I spent a lot of time in mountains just like this, hills just like this, climbing, backpacking, camping, riding bikes, riding motorcycles, all manner of things. And for those of you watching this from Utah who've spent some time out in the wild, you might actually recognize this style of rock is everywhere in the Rocky Mountains where I come from. I think we're gonna find a lot of rocks underneath this surface. I grew up playing on rocks exactly like this, with mosses just like that. And I jumped off them, ran off them, camped on them, made fires on them. And this kind of rock, this gray stuff with the old moss, dead lichens, very much reminds me of home. My intention with this build is to find some large ones and put one of them in the master bedroom or in a hallway. I want a couple of boulders from the land actually inside the house. I think that would make an amazing homage. I think it would, every day I see it, tie me closer to the land and to the place that this house will sit. So I don't know if you can hear it, but there's a very interesting crackling sound happening in the forest right now. And it might just be that it's a forest and there's a bit of wind and all the twigs and branches and leaves are all rubbing together, but it's making this popcorny kind of sound from everywhere. Get a bead on the sound of this. See if you can hear it. Let's just listen. Might be accumulated water from the fog on these leaves, all raining to the ground and hitting the dry leaf cover and making that sound, but it does sound like popcorn from everywhere in this forest. The British would call it a wood, but if I were in Britain, I might say buying this property gave me a wood. I hope you guys are liking this stuff. I'm having a blast making it and sharing all this with you. Lots from my past, lots for the future. Don't forget to like and subscribe and smash that bell button. They do help. I know it seems like everyone says that, because they do, but it really, really does help keep this content going. And it also motivates me to do more for you guys. So help me out and like and subscribe and share it with your friends and family. Really appreciate it.
In the next episode, we're going to get down and dirty with V2, the moment we've all been waiting for, the second time around, the big reveal. And I think you're going to love it. This new design is epic on a scale of V1, but with much simpler building methods, a lot less excavation, and a totally different approach to the land.
But for now, this is building the moon house, and I'll catch you later.